Welcome back to Terror Tales. Tonight, we venture into the shadowy depths of Blackwood Forest, a place whispered about in hushed tones by the locals. They speak of a mysterious entity known only as the Watcher, who is said to stalk anyone who dares to enter his domain. What begins as a harmless dare spirals into a nightmarish encounter that will leave you questioning every rustle and shadow in the dark. Join us as we uncover the dark secrets of Blackwood Forest and discover why some legends are best left undisturbed. Will you dare to follow us into the unknown? It was a cold, moonless night, and the air was thick with an unsettling stillness as I approached the entrance to Blackwood Forest. The dare was simple: spend one night in the forest and return by dawn. Armed with nothing but a flashlight and my determination, I stepped past the rusted gate and into the shadowy woods. The trees loomed overhead, their gnarled branches twisting like skeletal fingers against the night sky. As I ventured deeper, the faint sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air, but beneath it all, I sensed something else, a presence watching and waiting. The path before me was barely visible, overgrown with weeds and blanketed in fallen leaves. Every step I took seemed to echo in the silent forest, amplifying my anxiety. The deeper I went, the thicker the fog became, swirling around my feet like ghostly apparitions. After what felt like hours, I stumbled upon a small clearing. In the center stood an old, weathered cabin, its windows dark and empty like soulless eyes. The cabin had an air of desolation, as if it had been abandoned for decades. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to investigate. The door creaked open with a haunting wail, and I stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and decay, and the floorboards groaned under my weight. As I explored the cabin, I found strange, unsettling drawings on the walls, images of a tall, shadowy figure with glowing eyes, watching from the trees. A shiver ran down my spine as I realized these drawings seemed to be warnings, left by those who had been here before me. In the far corner of the room, I discovered an old journal. The pages were yellowed and brittle, but the writing was still legible. The journal belonged to someone named Elijah, who had lived in the cabin years ago. Elijah's entries spoke of terrifying encounters with the Watcher, describing him as a malevolent spirit that haunted the forest, preying on those who ventured too close. Suddenly, the temperature dropped, and a sense of dread settled over me. The whispers began, faint at first, but growing louder and more insistent. They seemed to come from all around me, filling the cabin with a cacophony of voices. I tried to make out the words, but they were distorted, as if spoken by a chorus of the damned. I turned to leave, but the door slammed shut, trapping me inside. Panic set in, and I desperately searched for another way out. The whispers grew to a deafening roar, and I felt a presence behind me. I spun around, and there he was, the Watcher. Tall and gaunt, with hollow eyes that burned with an otherworldly light, he stood motionless, his gaze fixed on me. "You should not have come here," he hissed, his voice reverberating through the cabin. "This is my domain, and you are trespassing." I backed away, my heart pounding in my chest. The Watcher advanced, his form shifting and changing, becoming more grotesque with each step. The walls seemed to close in around me, and the air grew colder and thicker, as if the very essence of the forest was pressing down upon me. Desperate to escape, I remembered the drawings on the walls. They depicted a ritual, a way to banish the Watcher and escape his grasp. Gathering my courage, I began to chant the words, my voice trembling but determined. The air crackled with energy, and the Watcher screamed in rage, his form disintegrating into a cloud of shadow. The whispers faded, and the cabin fell silent. I bolted for the door, which now swung open with ease, and fled into the night. As I ran through the forest, the trees seemed to part, guiding me back to the safety of the village. But my ordeal was far from over. As I emerged from the forest, I felt a cold hand grip my shoulder. I spun around, expecting to see the Watcher, but there was nothing but the night air. The villagers listened in awe as I recounted my encounter, their expressions a mix of fear and disbelief. They warned me that once the Watcher had marked someone, he would never truly let them go. That night, I returned home, but sleep eluded me. Every shadow seemed to move, every creak and groan of the house sounded like the Watcher coming for me. I kept the lights on, but even that offered little comfort. The sense of being watched was overwhelming, and the whispers seemed to follow me, faint but persistent. Days turned into weeks, and the terror did not abate. I began to see the Watcher everywhere, in the reflection of a window, in the flicker of a shadow, in the corner of my eye. My friends and family grew concerned, urging me to seek help, but I knew that no one could save me from the Watcher's grasp. Finally, driven to the brink of madness, I returned to Blackwood Forest. I had to confront the Watcher, to find a way to end the nightmare once and for all. As I stepped past the rusted gate and into the shadowy woods, the familiar sense of dread washed over me. This time I was prepared. I had studied Elijah's journal, memorized the rituals, and gathered the necessary items. I made my way back to the cabin, the darkness closing in around me like a suffocating shroud. In the center of the clearing, I set up the ritual, drawing the symbols in the dirt and lighting the candles. The air crackled with energy, and the whispers grew louder, surrounding me in a chorus of the damned. I began to chant, my voice strong and steady, determined to banish the Watcher once and for all. Suddenly, the ground trembled, and the Watcher appeared before me, his hollow eyes burning with rage. He lunged at me, but I held my ground, continuing the chant. The air grew cold, and the shadows writhed in agony, but I pressed on, my voice unwavering. With a final, deafening roar, the Watcher disintegrated into a cloud of shadow, and the forest fell silent. The ritual was complete, and the Watcher was banished. I collapsed to the ground, my heart pounding with relief and exhaustion. Finally, I emerged from the forest, the sense of being watched slowly fading and the whispers growing silent. The villagers welcomed me back, their faces filled with relief and admiration. Blackwood Forest remained a place of darkness and fear, but I knew that the Watcher was gone, and I was finally free. Stay tuned for more spine-chilling stories on Terror Tales. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us continue to bring you the most terrifying tales from the darkest corners of the world. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of sheer horror and suspense. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. Sweet dreams if you can.